Hello everyone, welcome to my GMB News channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Volodymyr Zelenskyy met Keir Starmer in Downing Street on Thursday to discuss how Europe and the U.S. could increase the economic and military pressure on Russia in the event that Vladimir Putin refuses to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine in his talks with Donald Trump on Friday in Alaska. Zelenskyy and a group of European leaders spoke with Trump and the U.S. Vice President, J.D. Vance, by video call on Wednesday in what was seen as a constructive consultation, setting the parameters for what Trump will seek to achieve in his meeting with Putin. The Ukrainian president was at the side of the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, in Berlin for the video call, and his visit to London before returning to Kiev underlines the importance of the UK in constructing a strategy not only to defeat Putin, but to persuade Trump not to make excessive concessions to the Russian leader. Starmer greeted Zelenskyy in the street outside the door of number 10 with an enthusiastic bear hug. Trump has said he will quickly seek to hold a second trilateral summit involving himself, Putin, and Zelenskyy if Putin agrees to this format in their bilateral in Alaska. Any such meeting would be a concession by Putin since he refuses to recognize Zelenskyy as a legitimate leader of Ukraine. But Zelenskyy needs to be ready in case in the next few days he suddenly finds himself in a negotiating room with Trump and Putin. Trust in Trump's reliability is low among European leaders, but they emerged relieved from the video call with the U.S. president, sensing that he understood it was not his right to start negotiating land swaps or details of a final peace settlement with Putin in Alaska. Trump appeared to agree his primary task was to test out whether Putin was willing to agree a ceasefire and on what conditions. Putin has to balance risking damaging his relationship with Trump, his best path out of the war, and trying to crush Ukraine's independence from Russia. Trump has frequently said he will only know if he can achieve peace in Ukraine by meeting Putin personally. He sets great faith in his personal relationship with the Russian leader, but in remarks after his video meeting with the European leaders, he played down expectations of what he could do to persuade Putin to relent. At the same time, he warned there would be very severe consequences for Russia if Putin did not agree to a ceasefire, a veiled threat to increase U.S. sanctions on Russian oil exports. He has so far held off from imposing such economic pressure on Russia, but by the end of the month the U.S. is due to impose additional tariffs on Indian imports into the U.S. as a punishment for India continuing to buy Russian oil. The U.K. would like to see the U.S. consider other, more targeted sanctions, either on the so-called shadow fleet of Russian oil tankers or on refineries that use Russian oil. But Moscow briefed at the Alaska summit, far from leading to extra economic pressure on the Russian economy, would instead include discussion and agreements on new U.S.-Russian economic cooperation, a step that will relieve the pressure on Russian state finances. European leaders in the call with Trump avoided any confrontation, but firmly backed the red lines that have been set out by Zelenskyy in recent days, including over land swaps, in practice the handing over Ukrainian territory to Russia. Some European leaders took heart from the detailed grasp of the issues shown by Vance and by hints that Trump could be willing to contribute U.S. assets to a European-led security guarantee for Ukraine in the event of a peace agreement. Vance in particular reassured Europe that the U.S. had no intention of negotiating away Ukrainian territory at the Alaska summit. He was described as fully apprised of the need to implement some mechanism that would prevent Putin from trying to subvert any peace agreement, either militarily or by actively undermining the legitimacy of the Zelenskyy government. The NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte, used Wednesday's meeting with Trump to warn about the potential consequences of Ukraine being forced to concede swathes of territory it holds in the Donetsk region. Rutte told Trump that Putin's proposal made to Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff would mean opening a highway for the Russian army to advance to Kiev, according to two participants. The Alaska summit, due to start at 11:30 a.m. local time, 2030 BST, will include a one-to-one meeting between Trump and Putin with translators before broadening into a wider meeting. The Russian delegation will include the foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, the defense minister, Andrei Belousov, the finance minister, Anton Siluanov, and head of the Russian Sovereign Wealth Fund, Kirill Dmitriev. The two leaders are expected to give a joint press conference at the end of the summit. Merz said he had been reassured that Trump intends to make the ceasefire demand one of his priorities on Friday. He said, "So far, all talks with Putin over the past 3.5 years have been accompanied by an even tougher military response. This time it has to be different. The French president, Emmanuel Macron, said Trump had agreed that territorial issues in Ukraine could only be negotiated in the presence of Zelenskyy. Speaking on Wednesday, Starmer said, "This meeting on Friday that President Trump is attending is hugely important. We haven't got anywhere near a prospect of actually a viable solution, a viable way of bringing it to a ceasefire. And now we do have that chance because of the work that the president has put in. So, what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my videos, please press like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.